Hey guys, this is Vera. This is like the fifth time I'm re-recording this video because things keep popping up. More or less, I get DMs every single day asking me on how to make the best store or how to make consistent 1 to 2K a day sales and realistically how to make a good store for it. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a decent store where you could make 1-2K consistent sales and not worry about if the problem is your site or not. I'm not going to waste any more of your time. I have my store here, Y2K Mart. Shameless plug, it's not a dropshipping store, but it is my reselling store. So if you are interested in getting into reselling instead of e-commerce, then I'd suggest you go with this since I'm an actual vendor for it and you don't have to look for shady plugs or vendors that are just going to end up scamming you. First off, the very first thing that you're going to want to do is go and head on over to colors and put in a color that you know is good. You could find a good color on a luxury color palette. As you see, I already have it pulled up here. Just search up luxury color palette and find a color. I do know one that's 635, I believe. Should be a greenish color. This is a color that I often use. You could copy it or just find your own original color. Later on, I'd go ahead and change the logo. So make a logo using Canva, then go ahead and go to typography and change the font if that's what you're interested in. Honestly, it doesn't really matter since the default one is Poppins. Now that we started, if you go ahead and click on header, the first thing that I'd suggest you do is change middle center to top center. So then in that case, it just looks like this. Just a little cleaner. If you do have people that end up on your homepage, it's going to be a little better. I'd also suggest that you turn off the search bar. So let's just click on it and it'll be right here on the panel, display search bar. Turn that off. It looks a lot cleaner. And now starting with the actual store creation, I'd suggest for announcement bar, I'd get rid of any sort of store icon like that. And I'd also duplicate this multiple times. I forgot specifically what it was, but you could more or less have it switch between multiple slides. And in that case, you could just do something like a single announcement bar that just says something like a summer sale ends in 15 hours or something. I wouldn't recommend you do this. I'd recommend you get like a timer or just summer sale ends soon. Something like this. This is more or less just example text for you here. Next, I would go ahead and actually remove all of these sections and then go ahead and add a section. Would typically do something like an image banner. The first thing I start with is by removing the button. So click on the button and keep one of them. Next is remove all the text since will be using the button specifically here. I'd recommend that you remove the container. And one little thing that you need to remember, if you go on mobile, it does not end up inside. So you do have to scroll down on the panel, click stack images. And then there you go. As you do see, the button is now clickable. So you're going to want to go ahead and click on a product and select a product. In this case, since I'm on my reselling store, I'm just going to select this all vendors bundle. And whenever you click it, it's going to bring you to your product. Change it to something like shop now, shop your brand name, whatever you want to do, but shop now works. Next, you could change the actual image to something that's decent. You know, you could brand it to your actual brand, or you could just do a random image that has something to do with your product. You know, if you're selling something about hair, make it a dude getting a haircut. Later on, I'd go ahead and go to the next section and do a horizontal ticker. I'd go ahead and to change the text, you could go on the left panel and just change all the text here. I'm not going to do it in this case, but you would change every single individual one. There's only 3 here. If you want to change how thick it is, since I'm not a fan of how thick this is, scroll down on the right panel, you're going to see padding. Let's change the padding to, instead of 16, let's just do 8 for both. And there we go. So it's not as thick anymore. One little tip of advice, I'd recommend that you constantly keep saving the site because Shopify does end up freezing sometimes and it will ruin your night. Later on, I'd go ahead and just do something like rich text. Just have an about section, like who you are. I typically would remove that and then I'd do something like about my brand name here is Y2K Mart. So about Y2K Mart, put some information that I just get from ChatGPT. ChatGPT is going to be your best friend in this case. Later on, I'd go ahead and actually add some custom code. I would add this little section right down here. You honestly don't need much for the homepage. I'd have this custom liquid. I'd have a results page. To change all this text is so self-explanatory that I don't even need to show you. You scroll down, you're going to find the caption. You're going to find all the results. Next, you'd have a contact form or whatever you want to typically do. Before the contact form, I actually like to put a featured product. I believe a lot of people do this on the homepage, so it will help you out in case nobody clicks on your first shop now button. Let's go to products, scroll up and for your product, select once again all vendors bundle. I don't like how big the image is, so if you do want to change how the image is, there we go, desktop media. Once you find it, just go ahead and change it to whatever you want. I want it to be smaller. If your product has multiple variations, you could do something like, instead of quantity, you could do swatches, which is the little circles that a lot of people have. I would suggest doing something like that. That's a little more complicated. If you're doing something where you're only selling one variation of a product, then this is fine. A lot of people ask me about this powered by Shrine. If you just click on the footer, just go ahead and remove the text. They're going to go ahead and see that it is gone. Your homepage needs to be really simple. I know stores doing 5K days and their stores actually look worse than this. And this is just a template. This is going to be the product page where most of your customers land on. So this is going to be one of the most important things for a lot of people. A lot of people screw up on this page and it shows. I'd realistically go ahead. If your product name is very long, I would just suggest changing it to small. There's no problem with changing your thing to small. And my neighbor just started cutting the grass, which is awesome since I'm hoping that the microphone doesn't pick it up. Excellent 4.9 and then like, I don't know, 1200 plus reviews, something like this. Awesome. So as you see here, my browser did freeze up a little bit and I'm unable to click on save. So this is exactly why you want to make sure you're saving your Shopify every single time you change something, because something will go wrong. Since my product just has one quantity and I don't need to make a bundle for it, is I'd add some sort of custom liquid. It's going to be a glowing button that says low in stock and then just name a random amount or have it like slowly go down. If you don't know how to code, you could just ask ChatGPT to make you something. Let's just copy paste it again and bring back another benefit. So it would look something like this, and then we would bold the text. Next, if you want to use something like kaching or whatever quantity break you want to use, and in this case it does not really matter since I'm not here to teach you about quantity breaks, because then I have to teach you about offers. More or less, just remember that 80% of e-commerce is advertising and 20% is offer. The store needs to be good, but the store is not the number one priority for most people. What a lot of people do is they like to keep all this nonsense right down here. I personally wouldn't suggest it. In fact, I would remove all this stuff. Have patience with Shopify. Remember, there's probably a million people using Shopify at the same time, so just try to be patient with it. We could do something like payment badges at the bottom to give people a little more trust. Here, I would do something like change the icons to 24/7 support. And then I would do fast track shipping and then like 30-day guarantee. And you could find all your icons if you just click on this link down here. It's going to bring you to a Google page where you could go ahead and find all the icons that you do want and would fit with the emoji corresponding with it. Later on, what I'd do is I'd actually make almost like a mini FAQ section underneath. Keep in mind, if you try to make a store, and as you see, sometimes I'm having issues with clicking the plus sign here, what you could do is literally just go ahead and go under payment badges, under text with icon, and you're going to see the plus icon here. It's a lot easier to click on. I'd go ahead and do something like, see if it's called collapsible row. In this case, it is called a collapsible row, and I would go ahead and change the text of it. So something like, how does it work? Or is it safe for kids? If you're doing a supplement, you could do something like, can I take this with my current medicine? Or how can I ingest this? Is it safe to ingest? And then I do several of them, so I'd duplicate it. After I duplicated about 4 of them, you don't need to do too much. I would just do something like a section divider. The reason for this is because remember, at the end of the day, yes, you want money, but you want to make sure your site looks pretty as well. So just let's make this a little animated and also add a horizontal ticker on top of it. It's just honestly for the looks of it. You don't need to do too much. I don't like how thick this is, so I will remove any sort of padding. And a cool part about this is it kind of looks like it's inside the horizontal ticker. You could keep the image video slider, anything like this. You know, at the end of the day, it honestly doesn't matter what you do. What we're going to do in this case is a left, right, left section, and then we're going to end up having a testimonial section. It's going to be super simple. Making this entire store is not going to take you more than 3-4 hours on your very first time trying to make it. So let's just do something like image with text. I believe that's what it's called. if we had a let's say a supplement, right? We could do something like focus and relax all in one or something like that. Just put some sort of text. Remember, I'm not here to help you with putting what kind of text. I'm just here to help you build the store. Then I'd go ahead and duplicate this and change all the text, change the image, but then I would switch it. So instead of being identical, I would simply change it to media second. And then I'd go ahead and duplicate this once more, switch it back to media first. So then as you see, it starts with something like text on the right, and then text on the left, and then text on the right again. So it does end up being a little better for the eye. I would remove the buttons for at least the first two. And then typically what I do when I make a store for somebody is this last section, I actually do an hour mission. And then I would get ChatGPT to write something, and then for the button I just do something like support. Oh geez, my spelling is horrible. Support now, and I'd make it link up to the product page. So we're already on the product page, so that's it. You realistically don't need to put much. For testimonials, what I do for text, I just do something like number one trusted on Trustpilot. You know, if you are struggling with what to put for text, just ask ChatGPT. I don't care, since it's just a guide. But for testimonials, you know, have ChatGPT help you. You could have a good heading, a good text for it, a good images for it. I wouldn't make images, I would just rip it. It really just comes down to preference. Under testimonials, something that I always do is an FAQ. Since as you see right here, I'm struggling to find the plus. I did end up finding it, but let's just do something like, and up on top of the section divider, let's click on the plus and do FAQ. Does he have it? No, this does not have it. So let's just do something like a collapsible row. Let's see, is this it? Collapsible content. There we go. So I did find it. And then I had to do something like FAQs, or just name it frequently asked questions. And then I'd name every single one for, I wouldn't actually do it identical. I would do it completely new questions. So instead of like, you know, does it work? Can I ingest this? You could find a lot of the questions that would be good for this FAQ based off of reviews. If you've ripped a product off of TikTok, go to the TikTok product or the comment section and find what most people are asking about it. You know, does this have a 30-day return? Does it have a smell? Does it have a particular taste? Can I have it if there's any allergies? Next, the last thing that I would do, one of the last things that I would do here is, once again, I'm struggling to find the plus. So I would just do something like track your order. You know, once again, it does not matter. Product page just needs to be a little pretty. In this case, this is fine. Change the text to whatever matches. You don't need to put an email here. Just have ChatGPT switch out the email for something. And then right down here, right above this section, but in between them, I would just do another horizontal ticker. And in this case, once again, still remove, not change the text, but remove any sort of padding. And there we go. Now it looks like in this section. And then I would put a nice product image. For quick links, I'd put stuff like privacy policy, terms of service, shipping policy, and return policy. And you could keep to subscribe to our emails. I typically don't keep it in, but it doesn't really matter, to be honest. Remember, at the end of the day, it's 80% about your advertising and then 20% about specific offer. Actually, I'd say a good 50% of the people that end up on your site don't end up on your homepage and don't even scroll down. So a lot of this is actually pretty useless. You just need to make sure that the information above here is decent, especially on the mobile view. On the mobile view, as you see, the title is a little big. So let me change it to something like medium. As you see, now it's not, it looks a little prettier instead of just having this box right here. So you just want to make sure this entire section is very pretty. You know, let's go to reviews, and something that you might see is this text is a little too much. So I don't know what I'd do in this case. Maybe something like plus reviews. You know, you could change the rating, you could change the text size. So I would change something like this. I change it to 14, and on the mobile view, it does look a lot cleaner. Later on, I would go and you could find a tutorial on how to remove this pay over time with orders over blank with Shopify. It's just some code that you go on your store. You're not able to hide this otherwise, but It's very easy to get rid of. You can't just hide it because then it hides your price. But at the same time, price doesn't really matter if you have a quantity break, anything like that, you know, buy one, get one. So, but let's say you were on your phone, right? Let me select something right down here. And I was on my phone and I saw something like this where it says, you know, summer sale, or got an app that particularly had a countdown on it and it had a pretty logo with the image here. One thing I would suggest that you do for on a mobile view is click on the product information on the right panel, scroll down and find first and last slide outering spacing. Click on it and it's going to look a lot prettier, assuming that this shop pay button will not be here. And then you have a nice caching bundle offer here. Your page already looks so much better than what I see a lot of other people doing. In fact, you could go onto ads library and just search up your competitors and see how their stores look like. And I can guarantee that 8 to 9 times out of 10, this decent store is probably going to be just as profitable as any other store, since you just need to make sure that it looks pretty. Once again, if you don't want to build a store or you need assistance with building a store, feel free to join my Discord. I'm always happy to help people, but I just wanted to make this tutorial to show you that learning how to use Shopify is one of the easiest things that you can do as long as you have the time for it. Not everyone does, hence why I have the service where I do this for you if you do not have the time for it. Hopefully this tutorial gave you some sort of value. It is my first tutorial and I had to re-record maybe 4 or 5 times since things kept coming up, dogs kept barking, and even now, you know, I have neighbors mowing the lawn outside. So I apologize in advance. Hopefully this gave you some sort of value, and I'll see you in my next video.